What?
Did you accomplish a lot on Sundays? On Sunday?
Did we accomplish a lot?
Yeah.
Sure, we went all the way to the top.
All the way to the top?
Yeah. Amen. All right. We will be on page AyinBase 3. And we're in the middle of the top section. The line begins with the word Bchinat yechida. So effectively, the Rebbe explained.
What was the words? What does the line start with?
Bchinat yechida.
Got it.
The question that we're attending to is, what is why would the nefesh express itself altogether? The nefesh on its own has its own truth and doesn't need to express itself. So it's a giluyim in seichel. And then on top of it, that these giluyim are such that it enables the nefesh to actually relate to the body, to the guf, which is a totally strange thing to the nefesh. So he explained that, yes, indeed, from the perspective of the koichas ha-nefesh, at the Chai, Yechidom, Rotzen, and Noineg, there's absolutely no reason why the nefesh would want to express itself and certainly not to relate to the guf. But then there is, and okay, this is the normal way of relating. But then there is what's called the etzem ha-nefesh. The etzem ha-nefesh, that stays put in its essence. In the manner in which the nefesh was placed, so to speak, in the world, and altogether and ultimately in the body, was not via its functional qualities. It is that the etzem ha-nefesh was, so to speak, forced to come into the world and into the contact with the body. This is expressed in the posuk Vayipach be'apo v'nishmos chayim. He was forced into the world and into the body. And therefore, as a result of that, there is an essential element in the nefesh. The essence of the nefesh itself is connected to the world and connected to the body. And therefore, because it's connected, this is why the nefesh expresses itself in the world, because it is related to the world by force. Okay, so now we'll say inside that the line begins from Bchinat yechida, the middle of the top section on AyinBase 3. V'zehu hamachriach es ha-nefesh, and this is what forces the nefesh, effectively. Li is hagiluyim imenu, so that there would be giluyim, revelations, literally, expressions. The nefesh would express itself. Ukmoi gilui haseichel v'hamidus, such as the seichel aspect and the midis aspect that are revelations from the nefesh. So we discussed this in that seichel and midas many times in the past. Seichel is a nefesh aspect. Even though it's in seichel, there is kind of a rationale, but the rationale is a nefesh rationale. It's not a worldly rationale. Like in the case when we are going to the classic example of light. So ultimately, the presence of light is contrary to the principles of world. Like we said, world essentially would be dark. World consists of the tangible part, and tangible is not light. And then, when the light does comes, it comes in an intangible manner. There is not a tangible element that illuminates the world. It is the presence of the essence of light. This is, and in order to recognize this is a nefesh element, and this is the nefesh element in the seichel level. The seichel is what discerns that this is something which is not worldly. And it therefore identifies it from a nefesh perspective. And as we say all the time, how come we see things? Because they're there, because they're real. This is not a logical world, this is not a worldly phenomenon, this is a nefesh phenomenon. Who relates to the truth? Nefesh. And this nefesh expresses itself in the level of seichel and be able to identify things in the world with these parameters. And the same thing in midas, ahava v'yira, v'gam, and even gilui horotzin v'hataynik. There is even a gilui from the nefesh, what is called the rotzin, the will. The rotzin and tainuk of the nefesh are really phenomenal things. This is giluyim in a totally super worldly manner. World, normally, that which is contained, so to speak, within worldly parameters, there is what's called a cause and effect. In world, basically everything is in a reactive manner. Rotzoin is exclusively a positive thing. I want this. Why do I want this? There's no why. Because this is a truth beyond question.
This is what?
A truth beyond question. This rotzing, this is a nefesh expression. That type of recognition, that type of relating to truth is a nefesh. It's not a world. In the world, everything has a limited meaning. And you may say, no, rotzing, I want it. And this is a gilum from etzma nefesh. That is, and how does it come? In the world, like you say, I want to be, I want to live. This is because the nefesh was placed, so to speak, by force into the world to relate to the world. And therefore the essential elements of the nefesh come to expression. And then furthermore, v'hagiluyim yiyu be'ifin kozeh, and these giluyim should be in this kind of manner. This is all the result of this hechrech, of this vayiper be'apel. That the giluyim, there should be giluyim, and that the giluyim should be be'ifin kozeh in such a manner sheyishchavru im haguf nefesh, that they should relate to the guf. These giluyim should be able to relate to the guf and to the nefesh hativis and to the natural nefesh. Meaning to say, that ultimately it should make sense, so to speak, to the nefesh to understand worldliness. Like we said originally, that in the first day of creation, light was created. And at that time, the light did not have a luminary. It was pure light. It was a godly light. That light could not relate to world. And this is why it said it was concealed, because it couldn't relate to the natural world. Natural world and that light were at odds, and since the Eibusher wanted world, therefore the light was concealed. And instead, the similar light came through, but it came in a manner that the world can relate to it, can tolerate it. It has a luminary. We can see where it's coming from within worldly context. This is the pshat, that these kochas ha-nefesh come from the nefesh in a manner that it can be relating with the guf and nefesh hativis.
You mean to say that the nefesh hativis can understand worldliness or godliness? You said worldliness.
The nefesh hativis understands worldliness, and the nefesh of the keys is mislabish and nefesh hativis, so that godliness can be understood from a teva perspective, within the teva realm. Mislabish nefesh hativis. Examples for that are rampant, and we are constantly living with it without as much as recognizing it, because it's perfectly, it fits right into the nature of the world, but it's totally outside of the nature of the world. Such as the eternity of the species. What explains the fact that one human being can beget another human being? And it kind of goes right into nefesh hativis. Be not overwhelmed by it. Because nefesh hativis relates to it. Okay, we don't understand how it happens, but it happens. But it doesn't break my perspective of the world.
One human being can walk to the other?
Can beget another human being. We said even of a lesser a lesser element. And if you think about it, you also recognize that this is really a godly phenomenon. I was explaining to you the other day that naturally, from a worldly perspective, the earth should be flat.
Why?
Because that's natural. Nature is what I say. You stand on a flat surface, and you have protective shields, protective walls that protect you from falling over. This is the structure. The world is structure. When you have a situation where you're standing on the earth, standing on the surface, and there is no way you can fall off the surface, that does not fit into the natural structure of things. What is this idea, this whole phenomenon that you cannot fall off, a limited entity? This is beyond terror. And this is a means by which the nefesh can be mislabish and nefesh atibis. And I gave it that sense. No, there's no way you can fall off this. And without disrupting the natural thought process. Das mean mislabish be nefesh atibis. This is all due to the fact that the nefesh was sent, so to speak, into the world by force. Be there and relate to it. And this is why it is capable of doing it. V'zehu ach b'tzelem is halachish. This is the pshat in the pasuk. And it says, ach b'tzelem is halachish. Man walks with the tzelem. The tzelem is what enables him to walk. The inyan hahiluhu, where the principle of hiluch, walking, means hagiluyim de kochas hanefesh. Hiluch means expansion. And this is referring to the giluyim and the kochas hanefesh, where the kochas hanefesh are promoted. The gam, and then also sheyi hagilu b'chinas riba yoyer. That this gilui should have an aspect of ribuy oyer. Ribuy oyer means an excess of light. This in similar need that we just now discussed. In the simple terms, a man walks on the ground, on the earth. Within the natural realm, walking, he is covering ground, which means that he is walking within certain boundaries. He's walking from this place to that place. But in essence, as he is walking, the boundaries are thus, the boundaries is what he sets for himself. But really he is boundless. And in essence, he perceives himself to be without boundaries. The boundaries are all artificially set for his purposes. As a matter of fact, as we always point out, that if a person is actually put in boundaries, he suffers. Not being in jail, it's just suffering for a person. Because essentially, he is boundless. Riba yoyer, even though he is actually moving at a very limited pace, step after step, but the oir, the sense in this movement is limitless. As a matter of fact, this is what we're explaining all the time. The fact that man stands on two legs is riba yoyer. There's no physical, it's not based on the physicality, there's no physical explanation for it.
Sorry, why do we call it riba oil versus just regular oil?
Regular oil would just explain the activity itself. This is going beyond the activity. If I can walk from here to here, that's oil. But I'm saying, while I'm walking from here to here, actually I'm participating in an infinite reality. That's riba oil.
Walking from here to here is not just natural. That's more in the realm of
Walking from any movement is oil. Because natural, the physical identifies its
I'm here.
its place.
I'm just in one place.
That's what, yeah. The whole idea of moving from place to place is an idea, is a oil. Riba yoyer is that which goes beyond even the perception, the immediate perception. This is the phenomenon that we always explain. When you open your eyes and you look, so to speak, you see beyond existence. How is it possible to see beyond existence, in infinity? It's possible. It's on the nefesh. It is Bchinat riba yoyer. Even though Riyah per se is a koyach hanefesh, of a finite nature. And yet there is that quality, that nefesh quality that goes along with it. Which is exclusively nefesh. It's not a physical experience. It's a nefesh experience. Going through the physical means. That's what Riyah is. Shezehu anikra hiluch. The gili b'pchinas riba eir, this is what's called hiluch. Ukmei malchim ben ho'emdim. Malchim ben ho'emdim, this is what I said, Tatalcha malchim ben ho'emdim ho'ela. Malachim are called oimdim. And the nefesh ha'odem is called malchim. Because in oimdim means even if one can move, but as long as he moves within proximity, it's called oimet. Malchim means that he can move beyond proximity, beyond that which he can perceive from its original place. This reminds us of the story of the Ramarash climbing up that ladder. Without a need to refer back to where he's coming from. This is my Mahalchim. And that actually brings it back to recognizing that the nefesh, the giluyim from nefesh are all the kochas and nefesh, and even the kochas makifim shebenefesh, Bchinat chai yechida. Chai yechida, this is makifim of the nefesh, this is representing the truth of the nefesh itself. And then also, this all provides for Sheyiyeh Mehem Hagdolo B'Kichas Hagluyim. That from them, meaning from the Giluyim, from the Makifim of the Nefesh B'Chai Yechida, that should provide an effect that Hagdolo B'Kichas Hagluyim. Growth in the Kochas Hagluyim, the Seichel Amidis. Seichel Amida these are the normal koiches, functioning koiches, that have a certain process, a certain means by which they develop. And then there is makifim. The makifim provide for inordinate growth of the seichel, where ideas come to the seichel that the seichel does not even realize, where did I get an idea? How did I get there? Ukmei hagdolas ha-seichel meha-mazel machkim. As in the example of hagdolas ha-seichel, the growth of the seichel, that comes from mazel, there's a mazel machkim, mazel that brings chokhmah, that wisens up. Shezehu sheyiyeh ribu yoy b'yoyse ve'askolas kol dover. And the effect of that is, there will be ribu yoy b'yoyse. There was an excess of oir. The haskalas called over in the understanding of everything. In everything that one understands is capable to bring enormous amount of oir. Now we're seeing the entire ramification, the entire richness of this understanding. Okamoi ha'atzlocha b'limut. As in the example, what's called hatzlocha b'limut. Hatzlocha means success in limud. What means success in limud? Limud, everything that you learn, you have to learn it individually. What does success in limud mean? The success in limud, this comes from the makifim of the nefesh. Success in limud means that you learn something, but actually you see beyond that which you learned. You have a broader perspective than that which you actually learned. Shezayeh mazel machkim. It's like the mazel, the machkim that brings wisdom. Okmoi mazel ma'ashir. Just as there is a name for mazel mashir, mazel that gives you wealth. The hainu riboy ho'esher, which is an element of riboy ho'esher. What is the oisher, the wealth that can be related to mazel? Mm-hmm. Normal oisher is normal oisher that provides, that is a response to the effort, and it's basically within boundaries, within proximity of the effort and the input. But then there is a mazel mashir. There's an oisher that goes beyond any human, so to speak, perception. Riba oisher. Meikein hu mazel machkim. So similar, there is in for mazel machkim shebechol inyan, where in every inyan hu maskil u mischakim beyoysim mikfi ha'ashor shalei mikedim. And any inyan that he touches, he finds the seichel, he develops a seichel way beyond what he perceived, what he projected originally. שזהו תוספות אויר הבא ממקיף לחי. This is the additional oil that comes from the makif l'chai. This is not oil of seichel, of the chokhmah. This is oil of the makif.
This is all a result of the atom being present.
Right.
The full complement of all
That's
the
right.
factors.
That's right. In simple terms, I'm going to leave this for tomorrow, so we'll be able to reach in here. So the simple thing is, yeah, I understand, and I have, so to speak, I understand. I can substantiate my understanding, and I have a sense of it. But really, the way I understand it, the sense of it is way beyond the function of understanding. It actually gives me a sense of the reality beyond this understanding. This is a special bracha.
It's the makif.
It's comes from the makif. The practical principle in this is, in order for a person to follow a certain path in life on the basis of his understanding, he needs a tremendous amount of discipline. This is the right thing, and this is what I have to do. But we see that this is not that discipline, that it doesn't even work. Maybe okay, I understand, but then there's so much influence from the sides. The fact is that a person does follow his insight, his intellectual insight, because he sees much more than what he understood.
Not based on discipline.
Sorry?
Not based on discipline, but based on
Right, and based on
overall
perception of the reality. He actually is into it. And when it comes down to what do you understand, what is it, it could be very limited. But it has much oil, much reality with it. This comes with Adam Akifim Chayin yechida. The principle of a normal understanding is, as I said, is a logical structure. That does not present a sense of reality, of truth. This is just a very limited proof, so to speak, for a specific thing. The real Yaseichel, this is what's actually enabled and illuminated by Chai Yechida, or the Nefesh. In other words, I understand it, but it's not just I understand. This is the truth. That's way beyond understanding. This is what a person can commit himself to. Okay, this will be it for this morning.
Disconnected.
Ay, ay, ay.